and KTNF AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Good morning to all of you joining us locally by radio and streaming online. We appreciate you tuning in. Today is Sunday, March 11th, 2018. I'm at 11. We have a full studio today. From Minnesota Atheists, we have Hertzie Hertz and Marissa Alexa McCool, and joining us in studio is Amy with Y, and on Skype we have Amy with an I. Amy and Amy are the two hosts of the Secular Soup podcast, which I have just learned has very little to do with soup. This is an open conversation, and we welcome and encourage listener interaction with your phone calls to 952-946-6205, your emails to radio@mnatheists.org, tweet us at Atheist Talk, or send us a message over at facebook.com/Atheist Talk. Hertzie, Marissa, Amy, welcome. Amy, you two should feel free to divide that welcome amongst yourselves.
Okay.
Wait, this isn't trading recipes for soup?
No, I mean, we started out thinking that we would just talk about soup on the podcast, but then we got sidetracked like we usually do. So
I thought it was a sister show with Making Ramen with Heath.
No.
Oh, that would be
Not really.
awesome.
No.
We don't affiliate with those riffraffs.
No.
I don't blame you.
We only affiliate with quality podcasters, such
mean-
as
Exactly.
yourself.
So what are you doing here?
We actually have 3 shows. No, wait, because Marissa's got like 5 shows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have like 10 shows like represented in this room.
Seriously.
I don't know. I think if you're going to count the Hertzie Talks, that's half a show because I haven't actually done anything.
No, but you've thought about it.
It's the
and
thought
that's
that
what's
counts. Amy and I spent a good 6 months trying to launch
Probably,
our
at
podcast, at least, just before we even got our stuff together. And
How long did it take you to find a quality producer?
about 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
God, I feel sorry for whoever that is.
No, I should say Marissa is the reason that we were able to do this, because I met her and, wanted to just kind of get some advice on podcasting. And right away she said, I can help you out. I can, help host it. I'll produce it. And it was amazing that we got that help. And that's what launched us into, okay, we need to just do this. So thank you, Marissa.
Otherwise, we didn't
Again.
know what we were doing.
Yeah, we really didn't. We still don't know what we're doing, to be
Well,
fair.
Don't tell people that. We sound so professional.
Yes, we're professionals. We took a podcast
It says so in our
class.
intro.
Yeah, it says so in our intro.
Yeah, I am not usually a big fan of just conversational podcasts. And oh my God, your show is fantastic.
That's because we're insane.
Yeah, pretty much. We literally every single episode we record, at the end of the recording, we both, we turn off the recording and we kind of talk to each other through Skype, and we always think, oh, that
That's a
was
train
so
wreck.
bad. I don't think we're going to be able to
Really?
release that. Like, it's so bad. I don't know. And then, we'll listen to it and think, oh, that was great. Man, we are just comedy gold here.
Like, we're so delightful.
We're so wonderful. How do people not listen to our show?
Every time I
Why do
see
we
an,
listen?
every time I see an episode drop, I'm like, oh, so what topic are they not going to be discussing today?
Exactly.
We have solved every problem we've tackled.
Yeah. That's kind of the goal of our show, is to pick a topic, totally stay on track, solve that issue for everybody. But what usually ends up happening is we pick a topic, talk about it for 5 minutes, and trail off into nail polish or childbirth or something that has nothing to do with what we were talking about. So,
Did we talk about shoes once? I think we talked about shoes.
Yeah. Oh, we talked about sensible shoes on the last one. And
We did. And then we talked about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
As we do.
yeah, because Amy people may not know this, but Amy is in a relationship with Donald Trump. And we talk about it on our show and the conversation she has with him. And
It's tremendous. You don't understand. It's absolutely tremendous. I get my soup and I don't even have to leave the bed. It's great. 5 out of 7 would recommend.
Yeah,
with that kind of endorsement.
My favorite way to start a conversation is the other night I rolled over and I whispered to Donnie in his ear.
That's how a lot of our conversations start. So what did Donnie tell you about that, Amy? Well, my favorite was, we're going to build a wall this weekend. It's going to be so fun.
Super fun. It's going to be the best.
Yeah.
So I probably should ask, for anybody who hasn't listened to the show yet, what is Secular Soup? Like, what kind of podcast is it? Is this like an interview show?
What's
Is
the
this
recipe?
We've
What's the
done
secret
interviews.
ingredient?
Yes, what is the recipe for Secular
Great
Soup?
question.
That's awesome.
Well, when we started out, so Amy and I have never met in person. Amy lives in Texas. Amy with an I lives in Texas. Amy with a Y. I'm here in Minnesota. And we met in a Facebook group, actually, and we were talking about podcasting, and how we would like to hear more women-led atheist podcasts. So our intent when we started out was it was going to be conversational, but we've been winging it for 14 episodes. We've done a few interviews with people that have gone great, but more or less it's a conversational show. It's just us talking about whatever happens. We talk a lot about being moms and about being atheists and about politics and Amy's relationship with Donald Trump.
And living in rural areas that are conservative.
Yes, and trying to raise kids in those areas when you're an atheist and you're liberal. It's just kind of our experiences. And I've been told by some listeners that it feels like you're just kind of sitting in the living room with us having a conversation. And we like that.
Which is how it would be, because they wouldn't be able to get a word in edgewise anyway.
No. Nobody can talk when they're on our show. And anyone.
It's adorable when they try.
It is really cute when people try to, especially when they have us on their shows and
we still talk.
They never get to talk.
That was the first time I actually heard either one of you was listening to the Sacrilege podcast.
Oh, we let him talk.
Poor
we
Zach.
did. We were nice to him.
We tried. And that was on video, so that was fun because I wore my full bunny my pajamas. I had a full bunny suit with a hood, and I had a diamond necklace on. And we also wear crowns every time we record.
I am not wearing a crown right now.
Yeah, I didn't bring mine with me, so
I'm feeling cheated. I was expecting crowns.
We do. Yeah, we do. We wear crowns when we record our show, and
yeah, I keep my crown locked up in a safe in the basement, so I didn't.
That's where I keep my kids, so I can't have a crown in there too.
It's probably a good call. Yeah, our podcast tends to be interrupted by screaming children and dogs and cats, and we feel that lends authenticity to it.
And once an ex-husband, that was interesting.
Yeah, that was fun.
He showed up.
Good times.
Yeah, I probably need to go back and binge listen to some past episodes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one we did not release, actually. That's the one we had to re-record because he just showed up at the house.
Oh, was that the corrupted one?
Yep,
that was the corrupted one.
So that was the source of the corruption.
Yeah.
Well, it was probably a contributor.
Multiple levels of corruption on that one. Yeah.
So we're talking like Donald Trump's cabinet.
Pretty much.
Wait a minute. So you alls had to abort the abortion episode?
We did.
That is so
they couldn't bring it to term, and they had to try again.
Wow.
It was bad from conception.
Oh my God.
Some things are just born evil.
And for more dead baby jokes.
So for all of you,
can't swear,
for all of you listening, this is basically what our show is. So just us laughing at things.
Yeah, it's funny. I have 3 shows, and I produce 3 shows now, and I finally got a show with a guy on it. Well, a cis guy on it, and I'm confused. I don't understand what it's doing on my channel.
I don't.
It's man yells at news. I don't get it. I don't listen to it because I avoid all shows with men on it anymore. So
it's a good show because he had Amy and I on it.
You should listen to the one we did.
Yeah, just listen to the one we did and not the rest of them. So
right.
Well, I assume it's like every other show you guys have been on with a guy on it. The guy's not there, and it's just an episode of Secular Soup, which I already subscribed to it. So why would I?
Exactly.
But this is extra soup.
Yeah, it's like getting a bonus bowl.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
We had my friend Justin on one episode, and I just let him know ahead of time, we're having you on to talk about your story of coming out of religion, but you're probably not going to get to talk. So we may just cut you on the whole episode.
We actually did.
And we did let him talk. I think we were very nice to him.
Boy, I was surprised because Amy didn't talk nearly as much as Justin.
I know, right? So
I was pissed, actually.
You should have Justin on.
I listened to the episode. I was so mad.
You should have Justin on again and have Devin come on and tell their story.
That's a good idea. Well, Justin and I used to do our own podcast called Heathen Hot Dish, if you sense a theme with foods and alliteration. But yeah, it used to be just him and I doing the same thing Amy and I do, only it was less funny. So
because we're better.
Because we are better. Because we're 2 women. So
we got Hertzy Hertz and Marissa McCool here. We are not fans of alliteration.
No.
I was just laughing, Minnesotan and a thing with food. Yeah, totally not expecting that.
No. It's very. I'm very creative and come up with very unique things. Actually, we had a different title for our podcast, and we had to ditch it, and then we had to come up with something else at the last minute. So Secular Soup was kind of just...
And we didn't like it at first.
We didn't like it at all.
Really.
We were like, well, we need to pick something. But yeah, there's so many puns you can do with it.
It's a super podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we did that on the Super Bowl. We did No Super for You.
Yeah.
Because we released the episode on Sunday.
Yeah.
Slight left turn. Have you guys ever heard of Transvestite Soup? It's the Rocky.
No.
It is the Rocky Horror cast of Minneapolis.
No, I have not heard of that.
Maybe we can talk later. I can put you in contact with the cast director.
Just when I think I've brought all the voices I'm going to use, you bring in something where I can do every voice in the cast. Great.
Sorry.
Lining up the arsenals. I already got to do that terrible show Cogdis, whatever it is. I got to do that.
They're the worst. Those guys, man.
I almost wore my Skeptics Creed t-shirt just to be ironic.
We need to make a Soup Creed t-shirt.
Yeah, well, for those who haven't listened to Secular Soup, we do have a Soup Creed, and it is far superior to the Skeptics Creed. So you should listen just for that.
It's recorded by Eli Bosnick, too, which is fun.
I was going to say, technically, I don't know if that would take much to be better than the Skeptics Creed.
Solid point.
I'm sure yours is 10 times better, though.
It is. I wrote it.
At least.
There you go.
All right. Well, please stay with us through the break, and we'll return with our guests, Amy and Amy. I'm Maddie in studio with Hertzie and Marissa, which is way better than sitting in a studio with Tom and Cecil. You're listening to Atheist Talk on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
That's not saying a lot.
Welcome back to AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. You're tuned into Atheist Talk. I'm your host, Maddie Love, in studio with Hertzie Hertz and Marissa Alexa McCool. We are chatting with Amy and Amy from the Secular Soup podcast. Amy was able to join us in studio, but Amy, for reasons we shall never know, decided not to make the short drive from Texas to Minnesota. Before we get back to the show, I want to remind everyone listening live that immediately following this program, you can listen to American Atheist Viewpoint, an official production from American Atheists. If you miss an episode live, you can always catch American Atheist Viewpoint by subscribing to the podcast version in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, or your favorite podcatcher. If you are listening live and want to join us share your opinion of blueberry-themed dessert soups, you can reach us in the studio at 952-946-6205. You can also email us at radio@mnatheist.org, tweet us at Atheist Talk, or leave us a message on the Facebook post for this episode over at facebook.com/Atheist Talk. And now, an important message from Tom.
Recording live from AM 950 in Minnesota, this is not Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode, we actually talk about stuff that matters. We bring women, feminism, and secularism to any topic that makes the news, makes them ramble, or makes us confused. It's skeptical, it's feminine, and there is no men on this show.
That was so good.
That is so perfect.
I have a confession to make that I've confessed to Marissa earlier. I have never actually listened to Cognitive Dissonance.
You have standards.
The only thing I've ever heard Tom and Cecil on are Citation Needed.
Which I've been on, just saying.
Yes, you have.
Still the best episode.
Well, yeah, of course it is.
I did like the penis size episode.
Okay,
I did laugh a lot at that one. And I just listened to the Marie Curie episode last night.
Okay, yeah.
So for people who may not have heard Secular Soup, I don't know why you wouldn't have at this point, but we have an ongoing quote-unquote feud with Cognitive Dissonance, which mainly consists of us feuding at them.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we have a feud at them.
Yeah, they don't participate in the feud like they should because
responded.
It's because they're sexist, I think.
I think they're scared of us because they can't say anything bad.
Yeah, that's true. If they criticize us, we have legions of fans. We have the super troopers that are going to come out and attack them.
Super troopers.
Spelled S-O-U-P-E-R.
Their secret weapon is lobster bisque.
I still say that your creed should have ended with doubt even bisque. It's such a missed opportunity.
Oh.
We tried to get Eli to re-record it by saying please, and he didn't.
Well, by this time, though, the slurp even this has just caught on.
It's kind of our thing.
It's kind of the thing, and I mean, the doubt even bisque would have been great, but you should have gotten that idea to me, like, before we recorded the creed.
I do not structure my ideas around the schedule of Eli Bosnick.
All right, fair enough.
Should try Yeah, you should try doing that.
Yeah. But doesn't everybody do that?
There's not enough deodorant in the world.
I did have a serious question because,
What?
well, you're
Yikes.
the Amy in studio is Amy with a Y. That is not really her last name.
It's not?
Amy in Texas, her name really isn't Amy with an I.
I feel so betrayed.
I know.
I've been lied to, Marissa. We should just leave.
Yep. We gotta go.
So I'm wondering, like, can you share, like, why? Why do Amy with a Y? Why Amy with an I?
Well, honestly, when we've...
Easier to remember names.
Yeah. We both live in rural areas, and I am a small business owner. And when you live in a rural area, people may not realize this, but not everyone is fond of atheists in rural areas. And so the reason for the alias is two-part. Number one, in my real life, for people who do know my real name and who come to my business, I don't necessarily want those people knowing that I have a podcast that's an atheist podcast, because that could affect my business. I don't want my kids to be targeted because I'm an atheist. But also as a podcaster, I don't want to have to worry about rando weird people becoming obsessed with me, because how could you not become obsessed with me? So the podcast listeners don't get to know my real name, and I just try to keep the two identities kind of separate, just to make things easier on everybody and kind of keep some of that anonymity. So what about you, Amy, with an I?
It's very similar. I work in a professional environment, and I don't talk about my atheism or podcast or anything, and I just keep it on the back burner. Just don't tell anybody.
Yeah, it's more, we talked about this in one of our episodes, but it's not so much about me personally. Like, I can handle insults, and I can hold my own, but I have two kids, and
it's more about the kids too.
Yeah, I would hate to ever find out that there were parents that weren't letting their kids be friends with my kids because they don't like that I'm an atheist. And I don't want people to spread around town that I'm the atheist shop owner, so don't go to my store, because when people walk into my shop, I don't try to convert them to atheism in the first 2 minutes. I wait till I've established a relationship, and then I offer my free toaster.
It's funny to hear you say these things, because if you swapped out atheist for trans, it would be like sending my kids to school.
Yeah.
Like, okay, my friend come over. Oh, I don't know their parents.
Well, and atheism's a little easier to hide. Like, my kids' friends can come over. We just don't talk about being atheists. I imagine in your situation, it's...
Are you saying I'm not subtle?
No, that's not at all what I'm saying.
I've been
Subtlety
told that I look so Christian. I'm like, what does that even mean?
You really do. You look very sweet and wholesome.
Well, if we listen to
If
we listen to god awful movies, doesn't that mean straight hair?
I do have straight hair, yes.
Oh, that must be it.
I think so.
Yeah, because I think it's when they have curly hairs when they're evil.
Yeah.
No, we both have straight hair, so we're good.
Evil. I like evil, Batty. Don't.
Yeah, and next weekend I'm going to a gay wedding with my girlfriend Emma. So like, it's gonna be
gay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's a big amount of gay.
I really hope Emma's
That's like the gayest weekend ever.
We're going to Callie Wright's wedding. I guess there's a con too. So yeah, I might be giving a speech the night before at the reception, and I'm gonna cry so hard.
Jealous.
I would love get the day off work.
I would love to meet Callie Wright so much. I just listening to her podcast, it comes through what a just warm and genuine person she is.
I just missed her once when she was down here. She came to give a talk to the local atheist group, and I missed that month because they do it every once a month down here. Mm-hmm. And I missed her month that she came to speak, and I came to the next one, and I was at the one before, but I missed that one because it was like illness or something. And then I found out later it was Callie was speaking. I'm like, ugh.
If only you knew one of her closest friends.
Right?
Think she'd come to Minnesota?
Yeah. She's come to my house before.
Slumber party.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I'm on board.
Yes.
My kids don't need me. I can leave for weekends at a time.
Sure.
Come to Minnesota.
Yeah. This is why we need Patreon support on our show so we can fly Amy with an I to Minnesota to have slumber parties with other podcasters. So it's important.
That is what podcasters
Tom and
do.
Cecil, not allowed.
Yeah, no Tom and Cecil. They don't get to come.
Ew.
You don't have enough hair traps in the shower.
Our live show in June is in Chicago, and we did not invite Tom and Cecil. Or
Awesome.
only one cis man, but not a white cis man. We invited
That
Alex
is so
Jules.
funny.
Why you gotta be so hateful? And just
No, I actually am friends with Alex. Alex and I are friends.
yeah, way to brag.
Well, we live in the same area.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna go to another commercial. We'll return. We'll return to our discussion right after this brief commercial break. I'm Maddie here with Hertzie, Marissa, along with Secular Soup's Amy and Amy. You're listening to Atheist Talk on KTNF AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Thank you for tuning in to Atheist Talk on AM 950 KTNF. I'm Maddie Love in studio today with Hertzie Hertz, Marissa Alexa McCool, and the ever-questioning Amy with a Y. Joining us via Skype is the other half of Secular Soup, Amy with an I. Before we continue with our conversation, which will be our final segment with Amy and Amy, just a few messages. I say it every week, but it is truly important to me that we keep secular voices on the public airwaves and in podcast form. Atheist Talk is produced with funding from the Minnesota Atheists and Cucumbers Restaurant in Edina. Please consider visiting our sponsors, and if you do, let them know that you appreciate their support of Atheist Talk. If you'd like to advertise on this program and help keep us on the air, please contact us at radio@mnatheist.org. This radio program is put together by dedicated volunteers and the generous donations of our listeners. Listeners like you help keep Atheist Talk on the radio and in podcast form. If you're able to help with a donation, please consider doing so at our Radio Fund page, or consider becoming a patron of the show by heading over to patreon.com/atheisttalk, where this week patrons will be getting an extended version of this show that is even more enjoyable than a lobster bisque. Minnesota Atheists is a 501c3 tax-deductible organization. Music for Atheist Talk is by composer and member Brent Michael David. Mischief managed, we now return to Hertzie, Marissa, Amy, and Amy. Wow, that's a lot to say.
All this soup talk, I'm getting hungry.
I have soup, listeners. I am currently enjoying a mug of tomato and blueberry soup.
She literally is. She's been putting blueberries in the tomato soup the whole time.
I think everybody but Marissa should try this.
Yeah.
Except I've slobbered in it and backwashed, so you might.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Let's not end this episode with Marissa going to the hospital, please.
Yes,
No.
I would agree.
As my rules for the radio show are the same as my family rules. All of emergency room visits must be scheduled 2 weeks in advance.
Well, I originally thought of this idea looking at, Secular Soup's logo. Where does that come from? Why do you have 2 blueberries in tomato soup? Obviously it's a fantastic, culinary delight. But, does it have an origin?
I'm going to let
Goes
Amy with an
together
I
like-
take that one.
Meatballs and tuna, right?
Yeah.
I will try that. Thank you.
Disgusting. No, it's a good visual. It came from a friend who actually was on our show a couple episodes ago. My friend Nicole. She's a graphic designer, and I was talking to her about our podcast, and I was asking her if she would want to help us with a logo or come up with something. And she was like, "I'm just going to stop you right there. I just can't keep. I keep getting the visual of blueberries and floating in tomato soup in my head." And she was like, "It's fun. It's kind of." Interesting. And then you think about it, it's 2 blue dots floating in a sea of red. And that can be applied to, to liberals in conservative areas or to atheists in, very religious areas. We're just the little blobs of different. And that's pretty much how we are.
And the blueberries in our logo, those are pictures of us. So that's exactly what we look like.
That's actual
I can
representation.
vouch for this, Amy. I don't know about the other one.
We're both blue.
I look exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting flashbacks to Violet Beauregard.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking Smurfette, but no, there's only one.
There's only one.
There
There's
can
one
be only
woman.
one.
There can be only one.
Now I'm picturing
woman
Smurfette,
Smurf.
the Highlander version.
I would watch that.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds awesome.
She just kills all the males.
No, she kills. It's never mind.
I was going to say yes.
I mean, that part's
I'm not mad.
That wasn't what I was thinking, but your idea was infinitely better.
Yeah. I feel like I should point out to people who may not listen to the show already. Again, I don't know why you wouldn't be listening to our show already, but just in case, this has been very difficult for Amy and I because we swear a lot on our show. Like it's one of our things, and so we're trying to be good.
We have an explicit label
for a reason. But we're trying to follow FCC guidelines here and not swear. It's been a challenge, but Marissa's keeping me in line.
That's what I'm here for.
That's what she's here for. So.
That's what the ruler's here for, too.
Yeah, because if you're going to hire someone to keep someone from swearing, it should definitely be the girl who came out by screaming in a hate pastor's face, F you, and then published a book that began with those words a month later after the election. That's someone you should trust.
That's what I'm saying.
Fantastic Uber. Fantastic Uber. I'm going to go with that.
That's what I assume.
I throw Maddie out of whatever building we're in at least several times a day. So
does she comply with that? Because she doesn't seem like she's leaving. So
she complies as much as my husband does because they both love those puns.
Yeah. Don't worry, Amy and Marissa. We will soon be at the Patreon point, and then we can start swearing.
Yay! Then you'll really hear us.
Assuming Eric lets us. Eric, are you going to let us go along?
No.
Oh, good.
No, you're okay. You can swear now. I'll just dump you.
He'll turn off our mic.
Not mine.
I was going to say, that actually sounds worse than being kicked out of the building.
Talking is my lifeblood. You can't make me stop talking.
I know, like, that's my money maker.
I know.
I just thought you should know, since you're on the air, your podcast has officially passed 2,500 downloads.
What? Yay!
That's so exciting.
That's so awesome.
Has our Facebook page passed 200 likes yet? Because that's what I'm...
No, it's 203. I just posted on it this morning.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Ridiculous.
Right.
You know, I checked the Cogdis Facebook page, and they have like 17,000 people. Like we can do better than that. We need to come together.
You know that at least 15,000 are Cecil.
Oh, that's a good point.
Might be
They're
Tom.
catfishing themselves.
Yeah. And Eli's
like,
alter
hey there,
egos.
sexy.
Yeah, and the bots.
Hey.
Don't forget
And
the bots.
the Russian bots.
Yeah.
They are funded by Russian bots, I hear. So
That's how I voted. Did you guys not vote that way?
No, we're in Minnesota. We actually have paper ballots.
yeah.
Oh, no, I voted through a Russian bot like 12 times.
Awesome. Did you get your check from Soros? Did he send it yet?
And Big Pharma.
And Big Pharma, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we fund the show. We get our checks from Soros and Big Pharma. All the bigs, all the big, big food, big, I don't know, big guns, big abortion, all that stuff.
Big guns, big abortion.
Well, I guess one of you is in Texas. That is the state of big.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm trying to, hook up with Ted Cruz too and see what kind of things that'll bring about.
I think Donnie might get jealous. Just saying.
I hear good things. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. You don't want to make him mad.
You don't like me when I'm mad.
Does he say that to you a lot?
I don't know. I don't listen.
You won't like me when I'm angry. Believe me, it's the most angriest of all the angry people. My best friend is Bruce Banner. He's terrific. Great voter. The best.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Tremendous.
I've never heard of a temper.
Oh, we're delightful.
I was on a Patreon call with Jesse Dollimore, friend of mine.
I love him.
And he was talking about a certain podcaster who has an alliteration show that starts with D, someone who people may know. And it was like, oh, yeah, he thinks he's so big about himself. Now, I remember when he was bragging about his 500,000th download. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, I can't imagine what it must be like to be approaching that mark. But Dollimore is fantastic. I'm going to get to meet him in a couple of weeks.
I love that. That's another show everyone should be listening to. Brittany's the best part.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, I love that show. And I found out about that show through Inciting Incident. I heard your interview with him, and I started listening, and it's great. It's not as good as Secular Soup. I'm going to put that out.
I only listen to one show, so I don't know any of these shows.
Yeah, so... But it is, if you're going to listen to podcasts, it should probably be Secular Soup first, then Inciting Incident, then Atheist Talk, then Doubt It with Dollimore. So, and never Cogdis, never.
Never.
I can't believe you skipped my favorite show.
Which?
Okay.
They're getting out of hand.
No.
That is my favorite show.
Yeah, but you don't understand. that my inciting incident gets 20 times the amount of downloads that the Sister Getting Out of Hand do. Mm-hmm. But the Sister Getting Out of Hand is the only one anyone ever talks to me about.
Really?
Difference of, like I said, 200 times. Mm-hmm. And it's same amount of patrons. It's hilarious. Wow. Like Sister Getting Out of Hand gets 150, maybe. Same amount of patrons as the show that gets 3,000 to 6,000. I don't get it.
It's because Ari's delightful.
Well, yeah.
I mean...
And if you're going to talk about Callie, you have to talk about how Ari can say 10 words and be just as funny as anyone who talks the whole time.
That's true.
Yeah. Ari is another person I
need to meet.
Yeah. You need to meet all the people. Marissa, you need to get us in a room with all of our favorite people.
Come to NanoCon.
That takes money. We need Patreon money. So
ride with me.
I can't even do
a lot
that.
of work. I don't know.
So far away.
Well, no, fly up here and then ride with her.
Amy with an I, you can just ride with Lux, who's coming and staying with us.
I could.
Yeah.
Where is NanoCon this year?
The same place it always is, Nashville.
Oh,
because it's Nashville nuns.
Wait, what weekend is that? Because
That's this coming weekend.
Yeah.
Oh nope, I've got the kids.
I can't be gone 2 weekends in a row, or my kids have harsh consequences for me. So,
but if you're
I have that whole custody thing. So
yeah.
But if you're planning to come to the Nashville Nuns Convention next weekend, I will be speaking at 3 different panels. Just saying, right before I break down crying at a gay wedding. I will be on the podcasters panel with the Krails and some girl named Callie Wright. I don't know who she is, and other people. And I just got added to a panel on sex positivity with Dr. Daryl Ray. So,
awesome. He's great.
Yeah. I get to represent the LGBTQ perspective.
Of course.
Because apparently queer people have sex too.
Really?
That's
really?
That's not true.
No. Are you allowed to? Like, is that okay?
Depends on who you ask.
Have you asked permission for this?
I asked permission, but not that way.
I think we need to get Ted Cruz to weigh in on this and let us know if it's okay.
Let me text him real fast.
Yeah, text him and let me know. Tell me what he says.
This is State About as On Topic is one of your episodes, so it's a great representation.
It really is. This is how we do.
Well, I feel like this episode was more on topic than normal than your episodes, because we talked about secular soup almost the entire episode, which is what we intended to talk about.
Good. You're sneaky, Maddie.
I'm just saying.
You kept us on topic with your cup of tomato soup with the blueberries in it. It's
so
delicious.
Disgusting.
It really does sound great. It looks gross too, but
Wait, are you actually eating tomato soup with blueberries?
She is.
I thought you were screwing with me.
No, she is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm enthusiastically consenting.
She had a can of tomato soup. She poured it in a mug, and then she pulls out a whole thing of blueberries and starts putting them in the mug.
Were you guys laughing so hard?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were laughing so hard.
So now what?
That was weird. That is like the longest somebody on your show has ever gone without talking.
Isn't it? That was an awkward. I don't like awkward pauses. I got to fill them with talking, much like
I
real
had to
life.
breathe.
Well, to be honest, I think one of my favorite parts of your show is the fact that you're able to come up with BS on the fly so fast. I'm in constant awe.
All of that is real. Everything we talk about is real.
It's funny.
I improvise an entire Cogdis impression, and you're talking about them coming up with stuff on the fly?
Well,
Okay, it's fine.
I'm just saying they do it every episode.
Podcast war. I actually had...
I can't afford that one. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Maddie, we can't
Too many
afford
wars.
that. We have Odd Atheist Friends. That's the one that we're supposed to bash that we never actually do.
No.
Well, how could you? They're delightful.
Oh, I love them. I've
We'll
been on
add
them a
it to
couple
our
times.
list.
They're
We'll talk
awesome.
about anything with anybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to Atheist Talk. I'm proud to be on the air with Minnesota Atheists, and I hope that you've enjoyed the show. All opinions and ideas expressed on today's show are the opinions of the guests, hosts, and do not necessarily represent the opinions and ideas of Minnesota Atheists. This show depends on the generous support of our members, our sponsors, and donors. Please consider supporting the show through the donation link at mnatheist.org or our Patreon page. This has been Atheist Talk on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota.